Hello, good morning, guys. Welcome back to our asynchronous class discussion on Mathematics 9. We're still in the second quarter, second to the last module for this quarter. We are already in the week 7 using module number 7. Topic is on multiplication of radical expressions. For this module, we have two general objectives. The following are first, is to recognize the basic radical notation. Second is to use the basic properties of radicals to simplify radicals. And lastly, to multiply radical expressions. So, how shall we start our lesson? So, the first lesson for this module talks about multiplication of radical expressions in three cases, wherein the involved are monomials. So, what's in? We'll have a drill review titled Discover Cebu. Okay, so this is localization. The, the trivia that we are looking for this lesson is we refer to one as the Malacañang of the South. What was the former name of Malacañang of the South in Cebu City? It is a Spanish word for customs, which originally served as the headquarters of the Bureau of Customs in the province. So to find out, simplify the following radicals. Cross out the boxes that contain the answers that is found on the next slide. The remaining boxes will give you the answer to the trivia above, the Malacañang of the South. So here are 6 items for you to simplify. And then, if you got the correct answer, you will cross out those boxes that contain the correct answer on the next slide. So, here we are. So, we have 12 letters and 12 different answers. So, one of these answers, the remaining 6 will prevail, will lead us to our answer to the trivia for this lesson number 1. So going back to the 6 items a while ago, we will solve that one by one for us to determine the answer of this trivia. So what are the remaining 6 boxes of letters that have not been crossed out? Write the letters below inside the blank boxes for you to unlock the secret of the trivia. So starting item number 1. Given is square root of 12. So to solve and simplify square root of 12, the result would be square root of 4 times 3, wherein 12 is factored as 4 times 3. Since 4 is a perfect square, so the square root of 4 is 2. Then, square root of 3 remains as square root of 3 because it is irrational. So the final answer is 2 square root of 3. So on the blue boxes, where can we find the answer to square root of 3? Okay, there. Letter O. So, letter O is crossed out. Next, square root of y exponent 21. If you observe, on the first item, square root of 12, we did not write index 2. It's okay because the least index is 2. It could be written or it could not be written. But in the second item, I purposely write the index 2 for the purpose that it will guide us in simplifying y exponent 21 or factoring out y exponent 21. So in our solution, it comes to this. So the square root of y exponent 20 times y exponent 1. So, gibungkag nato ang y exponent 21 as y exponent 20 times y exponent 1. Am I right? Okay. Ano to siya gifactored as 20 ug 1, sir? Kay, when we simplify square root of y exponent 21, it can be made into y exponent 10. So, unsa mo pahitabo ah? Okay. The exponent of y, which is 20, is divisible with the index 2. Ma-divide man na ang 20. So, dapat, ang exponent sa y, the factor should be divisible with the index 2. So, 20 divided by 2 is 10. So muna ni gawas siya na factored out, extracted out. Then what remains on the radical symbol is the square root of y exponent 1, or simply the square root of y. So since the index is 2, imaginary 2 na siya. Then if the exponent of y is 1, pwede na po na din siya isuwat ang exponent ng 1, because if a variable doesn't have an exponent, it only means nga yung exponent kay 1, imaginary 1. So where can we find the answer y exponent 10 square root of y? On the blue boxes. Where can we find that one? Okay, there goes. Letter M is crossed out. Next item. The square root of 32r squared. Nagyapan ng index nga 2. Okay, ito natin variable nga r. Pero if you get used to it nga, pwede din kang sutog index nga 2, pwede sa gihapon. As long as kibaw ka nga, kung walay index ang radical, pasabot nga yung index kay 2 din siya. Okay, so to factor out 32r square, gibungkag na to ang 32 as 16 times 2. Okay, square root man so dapat doon siya factor ng perfect square, which is 16. Times 2 is 32. 2 is not a perfect square man, no? But it is one of the factors of 32. Then ang r square, dili usbon kay tungod ang iyahang exponent sa r is divisible already with the index 2. So the square root of 16 is 4. Okay, perfect square man siya. Then ang r square, exponent 2 divided by index 2 goes ang r. So what remains on the radical symbol is 2. So the final answer is 4r squared of 2. So if we are to locate 4r squared of 2 on the blue boxes, we find there letter F. So F is crossed out. Next, the cube root of 81a exponent 4. The index is already 3. So when we factor 81, question, is 81 a perfect cube? Dili. But we can factor 81 with a perfect cube and not perfect cube, of which 27 is a perfect cube, di ba? Okay, 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3, 9. 9 times 3, 27. 27 times 3 is 81 exactly. So therefore, we can extract the cube root of 27, and that is 3 nga magawas radical symbol. Ang 3 nga factor sa 81, pabili siya sulod. Then ang a exponent 4, gibungkag na to as a cube times a exponent 1. Nga naman, kaya para ma-cancel out ang exponent nga 3 sa a nga to sa index nga 3. So therefore, kung ma-cancel ang exponent og index, magawas ang a. Then what remains inside the radical is 3 and a exponent 1. And we copy the same index cube root. Index is 3. So we read the final answer is 3a cube root of 3a. So where can we locate the answer? Okay, you have there letter C. C is crossed out. So we have already answered 4 items. There are 2 remaining items not answered. Item number 5. The given there is 3x square root of 18x cubed y exponent 10. Since 3x is found outside, we copy 3x outside. 18 is factored out as 9 times 2, where a 9 is a perfect square. Okay, square root man, so dapat perfect square, dili perfect square. X cubed, gifactor, gibungkag siya as x2, x1. Kaya naman ito, index 2. Ang y exponent 10, or kung basa ka ng y10, kaya gyapon. Pero ang pagbasa ka niya is y exponent 10 or y raised to exponent 10. So, butanta lang y exponent 10. So, dili na siya pwede mong kaguna because 10 is already divisible with index 2. Right. Okay. So, to simplify our answer, we copy 3x outside. The square root of 9 is 3. Muna na parenthesis 3. Kinigawas pa ng 3. So, tapad siya sa 3x. Nya, it should be separated by a parenthesis. Nagpasabot, the operation involved is multiplication. So, 10. Okay. So, ang 2, pares sa 9 nga factor, di siya pwede magawas because 2 is not a perfect square. X squared divided by index 2, gawas ang x. Ang x1, di siya pwede magawas because 1 is lesser than the index 2 man. So, di pwede. Then y exponent 10, ma-divide ang 10 nga to sa index 2. So, 10 divided by 2 is 5, manang y exponent 5. So, what remains in the radical is 2 and x exponent 1, or simply the square root of 2x. So, to finalize our answer, 3 times 3 is 9. X og x. So, ito na siya sa multiplication, product of powers. Nagpasabot. We add powers. If we multiply variables of different exponent, we simply add exponent. So, this is understood as x1 og x1, so therefore x2. Then we copy y exponent 5. Then copy square root of 2x. So, where can we locate this answer? On the blue boxes, you have there letter B. So, B is crossed out. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We still have 7 boxes uncrossed. So, one final box to be crossed out, ba determine na to ang answer sa trivia. The last item is square root of 3x times the square of x plus 4. The square root of 36 is 6. 6. And the square root of the base x plus 4 raised to exponent 2 is x plus 4. y. Kaya kanang base nga x plus 4, pareha po siya sa base nga y. Nga, iyang exponent 10. Galing lang kaya ang base din is a binomial. So, regardless of monomial or binomial ang base, atong itanaw din ang exponent. Since the exponent is 2, then atong index sa gawas is imaginary 2. So, makancel out exponent 2 divided by index nga 2 is 1. Cancelled out. So, magawas ang binomial x plus 4 niya. Butang na siya parenthesis. Ipasabot for multiplication. So, 6 times x, 6x, 6 times 4, 24. So, the answer is 6x plus 24. So, where can we locate that in the blue boxes? Letter E. So, letter E is crossed out. So, unsa man ang mga boxes na wala ma-crossed out? That contains what letters? We have A, D, U, A, and A. So they are the 6 remaining boxes. So how do we read the remaining 6 boxes? You have there A, D, U, A, and A. So the answer of the trivia is Aduana. That is referred to as the Malacañang of the South, and that's located at the back of Cebu City Hall. Okay, so we got the correct answer. So did you get the answer on the trivia? What is it? Based on the activity, how important is the skill on simplifying radical expressions? To our next lesson on multiplying radicals. So what is it? So how do we multiply radicals? So in multiplying radicals, there are 3 cases to be considered when it involves monomials. Later na ito mga binomials. So we have 3 cases. So first case, when the indices are the same. So ito ang indices, sir. Plural for index. So ito ang index. It serves as the order of the radical. Matong gamay nga number, gawas radical symbol. So when the indices are the same, so indices meaning daghan index. Okay. Pareha og index. When multiplying radicals having the same index, apply the product rule for radicals, which is in symbols. C and D are coefficients, either literal or numerical coefficients outside the radical. Then N there is the index. A and B are the radicand. So to multiply these 2 radicals, the product is this one. So we multiply the coefficients outside. C times D is CD. Then same like index nga N, copy N. Then the square root of nth root of A times B, AB. So the product there is CD, nth root of AB. Then simplify the resulting radicand. So we'll follow this concept on our example, number 1. So, square root of 5 to the square root of 10, apply the product rule for radicals. So how? The square root, since parehas lang square root, so we put them in one radical symbol, and that is the square root of 5 times 10. Next, so 5 times 10 is 50. Factor 50 that has a perfect square factor, which is 25 times 2. So 25 times 2. Okay, 25 is a perfect square man. Next, square root of 25 is 5. Pabilin ang square root of 2. Extract the root of 25, and that is 5. So our final answer is 5 square root of 2. Another example. 2 square root of 6 times 3 square root of 3. So kanang dot nga dako, nagpasambot na siya o multiplication symbol. So we multiply the coefficients outside. 2 and 3 outside is multiplied 2 times 3. Then the numbers inside multiply sa 6 og 3, 6 times 3. So ang rule is pisay pa na siya gawas times sa gawas, sulod times sa sulod. So sub 10. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Then we multiply the numbers inside and outside. Then factor the radicand, which is 18. And that can be factored as 9 times 2, where 9 is a perfect square. So that is 6 square root of 9 times 2. To simplify our answer, the square root of 9 is 3, gawas. So sa parentheses, tapad sa 6. So that is 6 times 3, which is 18. Copy radical square root of 2. After extracting the root of 9, multiply it to 6 outside. Okay, so our final answer there is 18 square root of 2. Next example. Okay, any variable x cube root of 4 times y cube root of 12. We will apply the product rule. X og y sa gawas i-multiply. Pwede rin wali parenthesis siguro. Or dito sa uno natapad x, y. Kaya bawang ta nga, there are different variables man. So, variable x and variable y, pwede kaya po siya is what? xy. Then, same index 3, cube root. 4 times 12. Oh, mali siya, xy. Cube root of 4 times 12 is 48. Multiply the variables outside and numbers inside. Then, factor the radicand 48 as 8 times 6. Wherein 8 is a perfect cube. Ano ba 8 times 6, sir? Okay. Hinamdam mo, pila to ang index? Okay. Index is 3. So, we read that one as cube root. So, therefore, ang factor sa 48 nga na perfect cube, that is 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 is a perfect cube, right? Okay, 2 times 2 times 2. Therefore, xy. Cube root of 8 is 2. Then, cube root of 6, wala. Since 6 is neither a perfect square nor a perfect cube, so it remains inside the radical symbol. So after extracting the cube root of 8, that is 2, then multiply it to xy outside. So muna ni tapad si 2 nga 2 ni xy. So 2 times xy is 2xy. Copy cube root of 6. Okay, so that serves as our final answer for examples 2 and 3. Do we have any other question? We have another example. So, possibly I could not answer your question because this is a recorded one, di ba? For example, the square root of 3ab cubed times the square root of 8ab. Apply product rule. So, since paras lang square root, or you write big radicals, big square root, then we copy the two expressions, 3ab cubed, parentheses 8ab. Next, multiply 3 and 8. Then add exponents of a and b using product rule for exponents. So 3 times 8 is 24. A times a is a squared man, product rule man for exponents. So multiplying variables of the same the same base, we add exponents. So a times a is a square. B cubed times b is b cubed plus 1 or b4. Next, we factor 24 as 4 times 6 since 4 is a perfect square. Why? Yung atong index kay 2. Square root no? Imaginary 2. Is a perfect square and retain the exponents of a and b. Nga naman, sir? Since it is divisible already with the index 2. So, 2 ug 4 divisible man sa imaginary index 2. So, dili na siya usbon, dili na siya bungkagon. So, therefore, the square root of 4 is 2 gawas. Pabili ng 6. A square, 2 divided by index imaginary 2 is 1. B exponent 4 divided by index 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Unang b square. Nabilin square root of 6. So, that mo na itong final answer, kanang red box. After extracting the root of 4a square b4 and retain 6 inside the radical symbol. So 6 there stands for the radicand. So that ends our case number 1. When the indices, their index are the same. Case number 2. Multiplying radicals when indices are different but radicands are the same. So what will happen? Ilang index lahi-lahi. Nandito ang first index kay 2, next index is 3. Pero yung radicand pariharan. When multiplying radicals with different indices but radicands are the same, we apply the following steps. First, transform the radical to exponential form. Transform the radical to exponential form. The next is to add powers by applying the product rule of exponents. The next is rewrite the product back to its radical form. Then simplify the resulting radicand if possible. So we'll have example number 1 for case number 2. Here. The square root of 3 times the fourth root of 3. First step, transform the radical to its exponential form. So the exponential form is written this way. Nandun sa previous na module. So we write base 3. Kasi composition sa yung exponent ng fractional. Ang exponent sa 3 is 1. Iyang index 2. So exponent over index. So base 3 raised to exponent 1 over index 2. Then the second expression can be rewritten into its exponential form as base 3. Exponent of 3 is 1 over index 4. So lain-lain sila o kung ano. Kanang exponent 1/2 o 1/4. So what shall we do next? Okay. We combine their exponents since their bases are the same. Pero sa base 3, sakto ba? Sa product rule, when multiplying powers of the same base, we add exponents. So, ilang base parihaman 3. So, we copy base 3 and we add their exponents 1/2 and 1/4. Add exponents using product rule since their base are the same. Then, look for their least common denominator when adding unlike fractions. So, kung mag-add ta o dili pariha nga fraction, anong unlike? Kay lain-lain sila denominator. So, we could not add unlike fractions unless magpariha sa denominator. So, their common denominator sa 2, 4 is 4. So, to get their common numerator, kaya naman tayo common denominator, so tibuhaton, ang LCD ng 4 i-divide sa duha ka denominator which is 2 and 4. The result i-multiply sa duha ka numerator. So 4 divided by 2 is 2 times 1, 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1 times 1, 1. 2 plus 1 over 4 which is 3/4. Exponent siya sa base 3. So usan ang iyahang na-combine ang iyahang exponent. So what will happen next? Rewrite the exponential form 3 exponent 3/4 back to its radical form. And that would be same gihapon ang composition sa exponent ng fraction, ang numerator nga 3, exponent na siya sa base 3. Ang denominator nga 4, siya ang index. So we read that one as 4th root of base 3 exponent 3. Then express 3 cubed as 27. Nga naman kay when the base is a number, kuan jud mo ang iyang exact value kay ang 3 cube, that means 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. Am I right? Okay, to continue on example number 2. Square root of 2. Oh, wala index, nagpasabot yung index kay 2. Square root of 2 times cube root of 2 times fourth root of 2. First is to transform the radicals to its exponential form. Again, so we're writing the first expression, radical expression, that is base 2, exponent 1/2. Kaya ang kanang 2 na denominator mo ng index 2. Then next, cube root of 2, that is base 2, exponent 1/3. Then the third expression is base 2, exponent 1/4. Di ng 1/4, ang 1 exponent na siya sa base 2. Then ang 4, ang index. Subtend. Next. Since they are, same sa example number 1, since pareho sila og base 2, 2, 2, ipang-add ang ilang mga exponent. So, therefore, 1/2 plus 1/3 plus 1/4. So, we add their exponents and finding their least common denominator para ma-add sila kay unlike fractions man sila. So, ang least common denominator sa 2, 3, ug 4 is 12. So, to get their common numerators, back to the process, LCD divided by tinagsa nga denominator times the numerator. So, 12 divided by 2 is 6 times 1, 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4 times 1, 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3 times 1, 3. So, we add 6 plus 4 plus 3 is 13 over denominator 12. Nga gi-raise nga exponent siya sa base 2. So, next is to rewrite the exponential form base 2 exponent 13 over 12 back to its radical form. So, if the denominator is 12, so that serves as our index. Copying base 2. Then, the numerator is 13. So, muna siya ang exponent sa base 2. Next, ganina sir, kay emotion di-multiply na lagi dayon. Di ko express nimo ang 3 cube as 27. Nya kadto sir, kung dili man nimo siya express ang 2 exponent 13 as a whole number. Okay. We need to simplify, di ba? As much as possible. Since the exponent of base 2 is greater than the index, pwede siya ma-factor ang 2 exponent 13 as 2 exponent 12 times 2 exponent 1. We factor 2 exponent 13 as 2 exponent 12 times 2 exponent 1 in order to extract the 12th root of base 2 exponent 12. Di ba makancel man ang 12 ug 12? So, magawas ang base 2. Then, ang nabilin, 2 exponent 1. Since 1 is lesser than 12, so magpabilin siya suits radical symbol. So, the final answer would be 2 times the 12th root of 2. Copy the same index. Then, ang iyahang base kay 2. Since the exponent is 1, pwede rin isuwat. Okay, nasabdan na ba so far? Shall we move on? Okay. I guess we are already in the third case. Okay, case number 3, when the indices and the radicands are different. Oh, lahi-lahi na yun. So what shall we do? When multiplying radicals having different indices and different radicands, we do the following steps. I guess more or less papareha siya sa case number 2, ang mga process. Transform the radicals to its exponential form. Then change the fractional exponents into similar fractions. 3. Rewrite the product back to its radical form. Then simplify the resulting radicands if possible. Sample 1. The square root of 2 times the cube root of 4. Lahi-lahi og index. Index 2, imaginary 2, ug index 3. The radicand 2, ang usa 4. Lain-lain gyud. So transform the radical first to its exponential form. So what shall we do? So base 2 exponent 1/2. Okay, index na 2 man, so atong denominator 2. Then kani cube root of 4, base 4 exponent 1/3 because our index is 3, so therefore atong denominator kay 3. Next, we write base 4 as 2 squared before to achieve same base with the first expression. Okay. Diba ang nga na commonality ang base 2 ug base 4 no? Kaya pwede man mausab ang 4 as base 2. Ang 4 ma-express as 2 square. So, i-copy na to ang 2 exponent 1 half. I-change na to ang 4 as 2 square. Mo nagbutang siya parentheses para ma-define nga na ni-exist gyapon ang original exponent 1/3. So, nagpasabot, duha na ang exponent sa base 2. Mobalik ta sa laws of exponent. So, that is power of a power. So, when there are two powers or there are two exponents, we multiply their exponents. So, multiply the exponents 2 and 1/3 using power rule. So, what is 2 times 1/3? That is 2 times 1, 2 over denominator 3. Okay, multiplying whole number ug ang fraction, ipasabot, ang whole number i-multiply mo sa numerator, then copy denominator. So, the new exponent of the second base, 2, is 2/3. So, pareha na sila o denominator man nun, pareha sa base. So, therefore, we can add their exponents since pareho sa base. Add exponents using product rule since their base are the same. Find the least common denominator when adding unlike fractions. So, pareha sa case number 2, case number 1, ano ba to? Case number 2 di ay. Adding the exponents na dili pareha. So, LCD. So, 1 half plus 2/3, ilang LCD is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 1, 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2 times 2, 4. Munang 3 plus 4 over 6. So, that is 7 over 6. Exponent siya sa base 2. So, nausa na ang iyahang exponent 7 over 6. So, mobalik ta og pagsuwat into its radical form. We write the exponential form back to its radical form. So, base 2, exponent of 2 is 7. The index is 6. So, same sa kato example number 2 sa case 2. Dili kuha ang exact value sa 2 exponent 7. Rather, it is factored out as 2 exponent 6 times 2 exponent 1. Para makancel ang exponent 6 o index nga 6, muna magawas ang 2. Cancel 6, magawas ang 2. Then, habilin to exponent 1. Since 1 is lesser than 6, so pabilin siya sulod. So, we read our final answer as 2 times the 6th root of 2. Imaginary 1 na siya. Sub 10. Okay? So, move on to the next example of case number 3. The square root of 3 times the 6th root of 2. First, transform the radical to its exponential form. So, we write base 3. The exponent is 1 over index 2. Then, times base 2, exponent 1 over index 6. Manang 1, 6. Next, dili na to ma-transform ang 3 into base 2 because dili man sila sa commonality. So, what will happen? Since di man mausab ilang base, ang ilang exponent mo oy dapat ipariha na lang. Since the two bases, 3 and 2, are not the same, we will change their fractional exponents into similar fractions by multiplying 1/2. 1/2. Ang sabi ng 1/2. Ang primerong exponent, i-multiplyan siya og 3 over 3 para mahimong 3 over 6 nga naman, para ang denominator nga 6 mapariha siya sa denominator nga 6 sa ikaduha nga expression. So, kung sabton ba nimo siya, LCD nila sa duha ka denominator nga 2 ug 6, ang ilang LCD is 6. Di mo ta pwede mag-add anino, kay di mo sa pariha og base. So, therefore, marga po nangita ka sa LCD pero imo siyang gibuwag lang, wala imo siya gi-add nor gi-minus. So, para ang 1/2 mapariha siya og denominator nga 6 sa ikaduha nga exponent, so gi-multiplying 1/2 og 3 over 3. Himo siyang 3 over 6. Because 3 over 6, if imo i-reduce, is equal to 1/2 gyapon. So that it could attain the same denominator with the second exponent nga 1/6. Okay? So, muna siya mahitabo. Base 3 exponent 3 over 6 times 2 exponent 1 over 6. We write the exponential form back to its radical form. O, pareho sa index na. 6th root of 3 exponent 3 times 6th root of 2 exponent 1. Next, express 3 cubed as 27 before multiplying it with the second radical. So 3 cubed is 27, kay 3 times 3 times 3, 27. Then copy 6th root of 2. Understood nga, if the exponent is 1, pwede rin dili kopyahon. Dili suwatan. Then ato yung multiplying. Pareha naman sila og index. So sa product rule, if the same index, we can multiply the numbers inside. So 27 times 2 is 54. Get the product of 27 times 2. So our radicand becomes 54. And 54 cannot be factored anymore since it does not contain factors that is a perfect 6th root. Kung ato usbon ang 54 as base to exponent 6, what will happen? 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16 times 2, 6, apa to? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. 32 times 2, 64. So, if ato lang usbon ang 54 as base to exponent 6, the result should be 64. Yeah, 54 mani. So, therefore, 54 is not a perfect 6th root. Sorry. So, therefore, hindi siya pwede mausap. It remains as it is. Okay, to continue. So I guess that ends with lesson number 1, case number 1, 2, and 3. So next is activity time. This is what's more. So you look for this on your module. Instruction there is to find the product of each radical expressions, then simplify. Write the complete solutions on a sheet of paper. Items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's just follow the process on case number 1, 2, and 3 examples. Okay, shall we move on to the lesson number 2? Multiplication of radical expressions involving binomials and its conjugates. Okay, binomials and conjugates. So what are conjugates? What's in? Drill review. Get the product of the following radicals below and simplify if possible. So, mag-repeat tabi. Number 1, square root of 5 times square root of 3 is square root of 15. Is 15 a perfect square? Dili. If we factor 15, 5 times 3 is 5 perfect square? Dili. 3 perfect square? Dili. So therefore, our final answer is square root of 15. Second example. Cube root of 4 times cube root of 5, they have the same index but different radicands. So we copy the same index, then multiply the radicand 4 times 5. That is cube root of 20. Ma-factor ang 20? 4 times 5. Is 4 a perfect cube? Why? Anong tanak ko perfect cube ang 4? Because our index is 3. 4 is not a perfect cube but a perfect square. So therefore, dili mabungkag. So it will stay as it is. Sample number 3. The cube root of xy squared times the square root of x cubed y. So, is just a case number 2 or number 3? Case number 3. Different indices and different radicands. So, we transform the following radicals into its exponential form. So, we write them as x exponent 1/3. Anong 1? Kaya exponent sa x din sa sulod is 1, imaginary 1 over index 3. Then y has the exponent 2 over index 3, 1 and 2/3, times x exponent 3 over index imaginary 2, 1 and 3/2. Then y exponent 1 over imaginary index 2, 1 and 1/2. Next is, since pareha man ang base x, base y. So, if we multiply this exponential form having the same base, we add exponents, no? Based on law of exponent. Product of powers. So, multiplying powers of the same base is adding powers. Okay, so we write the same base x. gi-add ang ilahang exponent ng 1/3 o 3/2. Then, for base y, gi-add ang exponents 2/3 o 1/2. So, adding unlike fractions, LCD, least common denominator. So, their common denominator sa exponent sa x is 6. Ang common denominator sa base y is also 6. So, to get their common numerator, so the process, ang LCD nga 6, i-divide sa duha ka denominator, 3 and 2. Ang result, i-multiply sa duha ka numerator. So, 6 divided by 3 is 2. Times 1, 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Times 3, 9. For base y, 6 divided by 3 is 2. Times 2, 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Times 1, 3. Manang 4 plus 3 over 6. Next, we add their numerators. 2 plus 9 is 11 over denominator 6. 4 plus 3 is 7 over denominator 6. Okay? So, na-combine na, nausan na ilahang mga exponents. So, what will happen next is to rewrite this exponential form back to its radical form. So, therefore, if the two bases, x and y, have the same denominator 6, so they will be written inside one radicand, and that is index 6. The exponent of x is 11, the exponent of y is 7. Next is to simplify. Di pa na siyang final answer. Remember that the exponents of x and y has a divisibility of 6, index 6. So we factor na sad x11 as x exponent 6, x exponent 5. Okay, 5 plus 6, 11. While y exponent 7 is factored as y exponent 6 and y exponent 1. Okay, 6 plus 1 is 7. Then the final answer, okay, index 6 divided by exponent 6 of base x, cancelled, gawas ng x. Ang 5, di pwede because 5 is lesser than 6. Ang y exponent 6, makancel sa index 6, muna magawas ang y. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, cancellation. And y exponent 1, di pwede pabiling po siya because 1 is lesser than 6. So what remains inside the radical symbol is the 6th root of x exponent 5 and y exponent 1. Fourth example. The 6th root of 4 times the cube root of 16. Rewrite lain-laing index, lain-lain ng radicand. So, i-rewrite into exponential form. So, 4 exponent 1 over index 6 times base 16 raised to exponent 1 over index 3. Next, copy 4 exponent 1 6 times. Nano siya sa case number 3, no? Nag-change na to ang 16 as 4 square para mapareha siya sa base 4 sad sa primero. So 4 square. Yeah, copy exponent 1/3. Then copy 4 exponent 1 6. So the exponent of the second base 4 will be changed. Okay, duha man kay exponent. So 2 times 1/3 is 2/3. Next, since they have the same base already 4, so we add their exponents 1/6 and 2/3. Then adding unlike fractions, look for their least common denominator, which is 6. 6 can divide 6 and 6 can divide 3. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. Times 1 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Times 2, 4. 1 plus 4 over 6. Next, to rewrite, that is base 4 exponent 5 over 6. So, same with example number 3, we can rewrite them back to its radical form. So the index is 6, the base is 4, the exponent is 5. But since 5 as an exponent is lesser than 6, so dili siya pwede mabungkag na, no? Instead, we get since dili man siya ma-factored out because 5 is lesser than the index 6 man. So therefore, kuhaon na lang yung exact value, ang 4 raised to exponent 5, and that is pila ka na 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Moto siya ang final answer. But if you will answer in this way, pwede gapon, pero dapat niya kuhaan ko the exact value sa 4 raised to exponent 5. Okay? The last example is square root of 2 times the binomial square root of 3 plus square root of 5. Is this part of our lesson? Sa is this item part of our discussion sa lesson number 1? I guess none. Not, no, Lily. Then this one, number 6. The square of the binomial 3 minus square root of 2. Can we answer this one? Not also. Why? This is not part. The last two items for this review is not part of our examples, case number 1, 2, and 3. So what shall we do with examples 5 and 6? By the way, it has to do with our lesson number 2, multiplication of radical expressions involving binomials and its conjugates. So that would be the focus of our discussion in this lesson number 2. So 5 and 6 will be discussed as we move on to our discussion of lesson number 2. So based on the activity, it is somehow tricky, especially when it comes to changing indices of dissimilar radicals. Dissimilar radicals, not similar radicals. That involves finding its least common denominator before we can multiply and simplify. For us to answer items 5 and 6, we need to learn the process on how to multiply radicals that involves binomials. Okay, so how do we multiply radicals involving monomials and binomials? Okay, we use DPMA. What's yung DPMA, sir? Something important isigutan. So DPMA stands for distributive property of multiplication over addition. Inamdaman ni sa grade 7 or grade 8. Distributive property of multiplication over addition. So we use this property when multiplying monomial to a binomial. So in this process, we have there, our discussion is on radicals, so akong conceptualization is, representation is also in radical form. A nth root of b times the binomial c nth root of d plus e nth root of f is equal to that one. So usap ng arrow. I-multiply sa ang monomial na to sa first term. Kay binomial has two terms man, no? Ang first term is c nth root of d. The second term is e nth root of f. So monomial times the first term. So the result is ac nth root of bd. Next is the monomial times the second term. So the result is plus ae nth root of bf. For a while, kay init. Okay, start with example number 1. The square root of 3, monomial square root of 3 times binomial 4 square root of 2 plus square root of 5. That is our given. So we use distributive property of multiplication over addition when multiplying monomial to a binomial. So the process there is monomial times first term, morning square root of 3 times 4 square root of 2, na parentheses, plus, kay plus man ang binomial, so plus. The separating operation is plus. Kung minus ni siya o minus din siya, since plus man, plus. Next, monomial square root of 3 times square root of 5. So ang number gawa sa square root of 3 is 1, imaginary 1. Ang number gawa sa square root of 5 is also imaginary 1. So we copy square root of 3 times square root of 5. Next is, the two radicals cannot be added since it does not have the same radical nga naman. Okay. If we go back to multiplying the first expression, the first product, ang number gawas sa 3 is 1 times number sa gawas is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Number sa sulod is 3. Number times number sa sulod, which is 2. 3 times 2, 6. Di ba factor out ang 6, no? 6 is not a perfect square. The nearest perfect square to 6 is 4 and 9. So 6 is irrational. Then 3 times 5 is 15. 15 cannot be factored out since ang pinaka doon yung perfect square is 16. So 15 is irrational. So therefore, mo ni sa atong final answer. Nya dili siya pwede ma-add if mobalik ta sa addition and subtraction of radicals. We can only add and subtract radicals if parehas sila og radical. Kung para sa radical, parehag index. In this case, para sa index 2 og 2, pero di sa pareha og radicand. There are two conditions for us to add and subtract radicals. Parehag index, pareha og radicand, or number of variables inside the radical symbol. But since di sa pareha og number sa sulod, kaya ang sa 6, ang sa 15, so therefore, the numbers outside could not be added. So, that will be our final answer. Second example, 2 square root of 3 times the binomial 3 square root of 2 minus 2. This is our given. Okay, use DPMA when multiplying monomial to a binomial. So, monomial times first term. Manang 2 square root of 3 times 3 square root of 2. Monomial times the second term, na negative 2. Sir, yung ko sir, minus sir. Tapat ang iyang separating operation. I still use plus, pero ang kanang operation nga minus 2 is the sign of 2. So mahog siya nga sign na siya sa 2, so negative 2. Makita gyapon ang negative 2. Am I right? So why not sub? Even if mogamit pa ko og separator nga plus, but still the sign nga minus 2 or negative 2 stays the same. Sakto ba? Okay. So 2 times 3 is 6. Number sa sulod, 3 times 2. Radical times radical, 3 times 2 is 6. Then plus 2 na siya, no? Positive 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Then square root of 3, may radical tapad ang negative 2, so therefore copy square root of 3. Okay, the two radicals cannot be added nor subtracted, since it does not have same radical. Nga naman, dili siya pwede ma-subtract ang 6 o 4 sa gawas tungod kay di sa parehag number sa sulod sa radical symbol, which is 6 and 3. Pareho silang index, which is square root index 2, pero ang ilang radicand 6 and 3 man, so dili pwede. So therefore, same with number 1 example, it stays the same. Example 3. 2 square root of 5 times binomial 6 plus 3 square root of 4. So, DPMA when multiplying monomial to binomial. 2 monomial times the first term, so monomitable. 2 square root of 5 times 6 plus monomial 2 square root of 5 times the second term, 3 square root of 4. So, mo ng 2 square root of 5 times 3 square root of 4. So, to get the product of the first expression, 6 manino, so what siya radical? So ang 6 i-multiply lang sa 2 gawas. So 6 times 2 is 12. Copy radical 5 since ang 6 wa siya radical, no? So kopyahon ang radical 5. Plus separator. 2 square root of 5 times 3 square root of 4. 2 times 3 ang gawas times sa gawas mo ng 6. Ang sulod times sa sulod. 5 times 4, 20. Mo ng 12 square root of 5 plus 6 square root of 20. We'll get the factors of 20 to simplify the second radical. Kaning 20, gibungkag siya as 4 times 5. Why? Because our index is 2. So we need to look for factors which has a perfect square, and that is 4. So next, we copy 12 square root of 5 plus 6. The square root of 4 is 2. Muna magawas siya. Pabilin square root of 5. Then, multiply ang 2 nga to sa 6. So what happens is we copy 12 square root of 5, y na usab, plus 12. Okay, 6 times 2 is 12. Copy square root of 5. So we can add the coefficients of the same radicals nga naman, pareho mas lang square root of 5, square root of 5. So ma-add ang 12 of 12, and that gives us our final answer, 24 square root of 5. Last example, I guess. Example number 4. The cube root of x exponent 4 times the binomial cube root of x exponent 2 minus cube root of x exponent 6. Use DPMA when multiplying monomial to a binomial. So, monomial times the first term. Parehas sa index, no? So, we write them in one radical symbol. Parehas sa index 3, gisuwat ang x exponent 4 times x exponent 2 minus ang separator. But since pareha man ang index sa monomial o sa second term, so we write them also in one radicand. Cube root of x exponent 4 o x exponent 6. Next, using product rule, add exponents of each radicands, multiplying powers of the same base para sa base x. Para sa base x ay pang-add ng mga exponent. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 plus 6 is 10. Aman siya. Cube root of x exponent 6 minus cube root of x exponent 10. Then sunod, factor the second radicand x10 as x9 x1 so that it can be extracted out by dividing with the index 3. Okay. Ang first radical dili na usbon because the exponent 6 of base x is divisible with 3. Muna itong gikopya lang sa o sa nato siya gisimplify. Ang x exponent 10 gibungkag as x exponent 9 times x exponent 1 because 9 is divisible with 3 index. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. Muna x cubed na minus. Then 6 divided by 3 is 2. Muna x square ni gawas minus x cubed sa gawas. Then ang nabilin sa kadahong radical is x exponent 1 over 3 or simply cube root of x. Question. So wala gid gi-minus ang x square minus x cube root of x. Why? Ang first expression na siya cube root of x na parehas sila dili. At the same time, dili sa siya pwede ma-minus ang ilahang mga exponent nga naman kano sa kata pwede mong minus ang exponent only when division of expressions is involved. Okay? So, muna yung mga consideration nga nung dili pwede ma-combine ang kaniyang final answer. Wow. How about multiplying two radicals that are both binomials? To multiply similar radicals that are both binomials in form, we use FOIL method na. Ganina, DPMA. Doon sa mag-multiply ito ang duha binomials, magkapit nga kag DPMA, no? Pero the main method used is FOIL method. First term, outer, inner, last. Okay. With multiplying radicals involving two binomials, okay, this is the representation. Nailahi ang mga numerical coefficients outside A, C, E, and G. While also, the numbers or the variables representing inside the radicals are also represented differently. B, D, F, and H. So, first binomial times second binomial. Ang ilang mga indices are the same. So, what shall we do? We use FOIL method. FOIL method starts with F, first term. So first term sa first binomial times first term of the second binomial. That gives us A times E sa gawas, then B times F sa sulod. Index N. Next, FOIL. After F is O, outer o outer. So asa ng outer o outer, sir? Outer meaning isigkilid. First term sa first binomial, second term second binomial. Isigkilid, outer, extreme. The result, A times G A times G is AG. B times H, BH. Index, N. Next, after sa FOI, saan ng I? Inner o inner. Nasa tunga-tunga. Okay, gana sa duha. Nasa middle. Sa proportion pa siya, this is represents means. So C times E is CE. D times F, DF. Then lastly, L, last term times last term. So second term sa first binomial times second term sa second binomial. So C times G, CG, D times H, DH. For a while. So to go back, so that is the process no of FOIL method: first term, outer, inner, and last. So we will follow that process when we multiply binomial by a binomial. Again, we're still in radicals. So example number 1. Here. The first binomial is 4 square root of 3 plus square root of 2 times the second binomial 2 square root of 3 minus square root of 2. We use FOIL method when multiplying two binomials. So to balik, first term of first term, 4 square root of 3 o 2 square root of 3. Next, outer o outer, 4 square root of 3 o negative square root of 2. Minus na kung igamit. Positive, negative. So negative or minus operation, i-enclose sa parentheses ang 4 square root of 3 o square root of 2. Mana ang first term ag outer. Next, inner. Ang nasto nga, square root of 2 o 2 square root of 3. So, plus o plus. Puro man positive no. Muna ang square root of 2, 2 square root of 3. Next, last term o last term. Square root of 2, positive square root of 2 o negative square root of 2. Positive times negative, negative. Yeah, square root of 2, square root of 2. So what? Dapat. So go back to, we'll get the product of the FOIL method process, no? So kanina first, 4 square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3. Number sa gawas, 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3, 9. Agoy, kainit. Next, minus. Okay, minus. 4 square root of 3 times square root of 2. Ang number gawas of square root of 2 is 1. So 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 2 sulod, 6. Katulong product. Square root of 2 times 2 square root of 3. Number gawas sa square root of 2 is imaginary 1. Times at 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Ano lang. So number sa sulod times number sa sulod, yan, number sa gawas times number sa gawas. Then be careful sa operation. Lastly, negative or minus, minus. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. So walay number sa gawas, no? Kay imaginary 1 man siya. Sabot, 1 times 1. Manang imaginary 1 gihapon niya. Ang i-multiply, 2 times 2, 4. Next, the square root of 9, we will extract the root of 9 and 4. Kaya mga perfect square man sila. Square root of 9 is 3 times sa 8. Square root of 4 is 2. Munang minus 2. Then, kaning middle term, kaning duha ka buok nga nasto nga, ma-add ni siya because ito adding radicals, we can only add radicals if they are similar. Parehas ang square root of 6. So therefore, ang negative 4 plus 2, ma-add sa 2. So pila man na negative 4 plus 2? Negative 2. Copy radical 6. Next. Nawa lagi na equal symbol. Dapat na siya equal na symbol. For a while. Dapat na siya equals. Okay. Right. equals, okay, there. So 8 times 3 is 24. Copy minus 2 square root of 6. Copy minus 2. Subtract 24 and 2. And copy negative 2 square root of 6. So 24 minus 2 is 22. Then copy minus 2 square root of 6. That serves as our answer. Final answer. Sample number 2. 5 square root of 2 minus 2 square root of 3 times the second binomial 3 square root of 2 minus 2 square root of 3. Yes, gihapon, we'll use FOIL method when multiplying. So first term of first term, so 5 square root of 2 o 3 square root of 2. Next, outer o outer, isig kilid, 5 square root of 2 o negative 2 square root of 3. So positive, negative, so manang minus 5 square root of 2 o 2 square root of 3. Next, isig tunga, inner, negative 2 square root of 3 times 3 square root of 2. Negative times positive, so minus 2 square root of 3, 3 square root of 2. Then, last term, negative 2 square root of 3 times negative 2 square root of 3. Negative, parehas lang 2 square root of 3, no? Yeah, negative times negative is positive. 2 square root of 3, 2 square root of 3. I'll get the product. 5 times 3, 15. 2 times 2 sa sulod, 4. Muna 15 square root of 4. Minus 5 times 2 sa gawas, 10. 2 times 3, 6. Then minus 2 times 3 sa gawas, 6. 3 times 2 sa sulod, 6. Mo nang minus 6 square root of 6. Lastly, plus. 2 og 2 sa gawas, multiply, 4. 3 og 3 sa sulod, 3 times 3, 9. Okay, simplify. The square root of 4 is 2 times 15. The square root of 9 is 3 times sa 4 sa gawas. Same example number 1, gi-add na to, gi-combine ang middle term. Parehas lang square root of 6. So, makombine ang negative 10 o negative 6. Negative 10 minus 6, di man pwede ma-minus na ang negative sa usa ka positive nga number, but instead, double negative na siya. So, copy the sign, add the numbers. So, minus 16. Parehas ang negative, so negative 16. Copy square root of 6. Next, 15 times 2 is 30. Copy minus 16 square root of 6 plus 12. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. Add 30 and 12. So 30 plus 12, 42. Minus 16 square root of 6. Anara. How about squaring a binomial that is radical in form? To square a binomial that is radical in form, we also use the FOIL method. Okay. When we square a binomial, that means binomial times itself. So binomial times binomial, mura gyapon atong gidiscuss sa kaning case using FOIL method. Squaring a binomial that is a radical, so kani the square of the binomial a nth root of b plus c nth root of b is just equal to the binomial times itself. Bantay mo, a, b, c, d, pareho ra sila, pareho sa index n. So with this one, binomial times binomial, we use again this one FOIL method. So first term, outer, isig kilid, isig tunga, then isig second term. Kana. So first term and first term. Since pareho magid silang duha, first term, first term. So kung nagmultiply ta og parihara, it's just like squaring that first term. Pareho mo sang first term. So the square of the first term ra. Okay, and square sa first term is first term times itself. Outer, si kilid. Kaning A, B, o C, D. So therefore, A times C, B times D. Next, inner. C og A, D og B. Or alphabetically, A og C, then B og D. So more or less parihara siya no sa result sa outer. Ang result sa outer o result sa inner parihara AC o BD. How about last term? Ang second term o ang second term C o C, D o D. So paparihara po siya ang primero. The square of C nth root of D. So balik ta. This one. So muna itong pattern. Full method gapon. So muna siya ang result. 1. The square of the binomial 2 square root of 5 plus 2 square root of 3 is equal to, okay, square sa first term, 2 square root of 5. Then, sa susunod, outer of outer. So, 2 square root of 5 o 2 square root of 3. First term sa first binomial o second term sa second binomial. So, 2, 5 o 2, 3. Ano na pagbasan lang para dali ra. Next, after sa first term, outer, inner, sigto nga. So, ang inner is 2 square root of 3 o ang first term sa second, which is also 2 square root of 5. Muna ang 2 square root of 3, 2 square root of 5. Then, last term, 2 square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3 gihapon. So, muna or square, the square of 2 square root of 3. Square sa first term, square sa last term. The square of 2 square root of 5, nagpasabot, duha ni ka 2 square root of 5. So, 2 square root of 5 times 2 square root of 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 5, 25. Next. 2 square root of 5 times 2 square root of 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 3, 15. Plus 2 times 2, 4. 3 times 5, 15. Di ba parihara ang ikaduha o ang ikatulo? How about ang ikaupat? The square of the last term. So 2 times 2 ni. Okay, 2 square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3 man ni, diba? The square of this term is 2 square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3. So 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3, 9. Next, process. The square root of 25 is 5 times ni mo siya 4. Then 4 square root of 15 plus 4 square root of 15. Adding radicals, like radicals, parehas ng square root of 15. So ma-add ang 4 of 4, which is 8 square root of 15. Then the square root of 9 is 3 times 4. Manang 4 times 3. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 3 is 12. We copy 8 square root of 15. We add 20 and 12. 20 plus 12 is 32. And copy 8 square root of 15. Ano ra? So far, nasabdan na ba? Kaya pa? Kaya ra. How about multiplying binomials that are conjugate to each other? Multiplying binomials that are conjugate to each other. Prior to that process, what are conjugates di ay? We will define first what are conjugates. So conjugate of a binomial is a binomial. Ang conjugate sa binomial is a binomial having same terms but contains opposite sign. Saan na siya? If the given expression is 2 plus square root of 7, ang iyahang conjugate or iyang pares is 2 minus square root of 7. If the given expression is 3 square root of 5 minus 4, iyahang pares kay 3 square root of 5 plus 4. Binomial having same terms. Pareho sila. 3 square root of 5, pareho silang 4. But opposite sign. Ang usa minus, ang iyang katbang plus. Okay? So, muna pasabot sa conjugate. So, when we multiply binomials that are conjugate to each other, what would be the result? So, kung magamit ka po sa full method, so nanay mausap, dili pareani, kay puro man ni plus plus, man ma-add. What if opposite sign na? What will happen? So multiplying conjugates, the first binomial is plus, the second binomial is minus. A times A square. Then outer, A times negative B, negative AB. Inner, positive B times positive A is positive AB. Then positive B times negative B is negative B square. A square minus AB plus AB minus B square. What will happen to this middle term, unlike this one sa squaring of binomial? Bantay money, 4 squared to 15 plus 4 squared to 15, ma-add sila. 8 squared to 15. Pero kanis siya, negative AB plus AB. Parehas ng AB, no? But opposite sign, it is cancelled out. Mawagtang siya. So what remains is, ang isigtumoy, ang A square minus B square. Or, we call this one as difference of two squares. Difference tungod kay minus. 2 square, the square of A and the square of B. So therefore the factors of the difference of two squares, ang factor niya kay mao ni siyang A plus B o A minus B. Or simply, sa ato ang pag-solve o multiplying binomials that are conjugate to each other, we will follow this process. The square of the first term minus the square of the second term. Okay, this one. Okay, the binomials are the same, good, no? Square root of 3 and square root of 7. Ang usa plus, ang usa minus. So if we will go back, kanin siya. Muna ito gamiton ang yung resulting. Dili ta mubalik sa FOIL method. Kaya kibaw man ta nga sa process of multiplying conjugates, ang middle terms na cancelled out. What remains is this one, the square of A minus the square of B. Or simply, the square of the first term minus the square of the second term. So now, in our example, this one, mawala naman yung middle term, no? So nabilin, the square of the first term, which is 3, minus the square of the second term, which is 7, square root of 7. Using concept on DOTS, difference of two squares, directly get the square of the first term minus the square of the second term. Mo ni siya, the square of 3 minus the square of 7 para mabuo ang process. The square of 3 mano, the square of square root of 3. So duha ka box square root of 3, muna ang duha ka box square root of 3 minus duha ka box square root of 7. Okay, squaring this radical is radical times itself. 3 times 3 is 9. 7 times 7, 49. Puro sa radical. That's why we get a product. Next is, extract the root of 9 and 49 before subtracting the results. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 49 is 7. Minus 3 minus 7, negative 4. Next, continue. Example, I guess. Example number 2. Variables. Square root of x plus 2 square root of y times square root of x minus 2 square root of y. So ito, para ani, square of the first term minus square of the second term. So the square of root of x minus the square of 2 square root of y using DOTS. So the square root of x, duha ka square root of x, duha pud ka 2 square root of y minus ang iyahang middle operation. Square root of x times square root of x, square root of x squared. Minus 2 times 2 is 4. Y times y, y squared. We get a product, monisia. The square root of x squared. Kaya ba ito ang imaginary index 2 manino? Wherein the index can be divided with the exponent. Muna magawas ng x. Okay, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Muna x. Then y squared over index 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Muna magawas ang y. Tapos siya sa 4. So, our final answer is x minus 4y. Dili po siya pwede makombine because they don't have the same terms. So, activity time. You will answer activity 7.2 on what's more on page 12. test items. Test A, items 1 to 5. Test B, items 1 to 5. Then, answer post test, items 1 to 10 on page 13, letters only. So thank you for listening. Hope this have helped you understanding this module. So once again, thank you. For any questions and inquiries, you can chat to our group chat, or you can message me directly to my Facebook. I'm Pizon Legaspino. So once again, thank you and have a good day.